Well, good morning, everybody. We're going to have a look here at 2009. First year there ever was a DCG exam paper. Now, we have our little intersecting planes question here. So what they're going to give us is x, y, z coordinates, and that's grand. And as I've a scan over these, I see that they've given us all of them. Some of the questions you'll see the little question mark knocking around here or there. It's an extra little bit of a puzzle, but this one's nice and straightforward. So we can go off and get these drawn. That's our first step. Line of intersection, dihedral angle. So that's all the kind of standard stuff we've looked at. But of course, part D, a little bit of a twist. We want to find the inner part of the set square. So look, like we usually do, we're going to worry about that one when we get to it. Now, there's a very important thing to watch as you look at how this question is set up. Because all of the x coordinates, remember these are our x, y, and z, all the x coordinates are really big. Okay? Any idea why that might be? Well, of course, x-coordinate is coming across the page here. So what they're doing is they are locating our drawing for us somewhere over here because we will probably need this space to solve another part of the drawing. Okay, and we're going to see it's going to be part D that comes over here. So they're actually being quite nice to us. So the way I'm going to set this up, I'm going to draw my XY line in the middle of the page. I'm just going to scoot it somewhere around there. And we're going to use this to try and see if we get our x coordinates set up. So I'll just use this to my set square to kind of get roughly to the edge of the page. This doesn't have to be perfect, okay, but my smallest coordinate here is going to be 145. All right, so what I'll probably do is I'll probably just make a little note at 100. Okay, that's 100, and there's 145. All right, and that way I know where everything is. I can reference it. It's very important they all reference correctly to each other. All right, but 145 is just an annoying number to work off, so that's why I'm going to reference off 100, knock 100 off all of these, and they'll all be in the right position. Saves me having to keep measuring to the edge of the page. So that's my little plan. Now, what we're going to do before we set down this one is we're going to lock our focus. There we go. Make sure that behaves itself, and off we go. Now we're going up by 80 on A, so that's in our elevation. There we go. And down by 30. And the reason I'm drawing the construction line is I'm going to need it anyway. Okay. It's kind of useful to have, so that's why we often pop it in as we connect the pieces. Okay, B is 205. And again, you can slide the set square if you have measurements on it, or you can use this. I just prefer using the you can slide the t-square. I prefer using the set squares. 205, 35, 70, so that's 205. So that's 100, that's 200, and that's 205. There we are, up by 35, down by 70. And that's B. Okay. We're just kind of cross-checking as we go. Yep, 265. There we go. So this one is going to be up by 80. Y is 80. There we are. And down by 30. Right, it is a cold and frosty morning here, but you guys, it's certainly I forgot to turn the heating on upstairs this morning, which wasn't the best call, I won't lie. So I'm sitting here in my nice furry little fleece as I do this, but of course that gets in the way of the drawing, so I have just cold hands. Things we do for your education. 170 across. Okay, 170. So that's 100, remember, and over 70, there we go. 105 up and 5 down, nice and tight. So this should fit in the page. It's been quite some time since I've drawn it, but it will pop in there. If I remember correctly, though, it's quite tight. There's D. 2 more to go. 205. Is that another 205? Yes, I haven't got that one already. That's fine. Always worth double checking these things just in case you made a little slip on there. So that's of course E and down 75. And was the other one was B down 70? It was. That's okay. So just they look kind of close, but it's not the end of the world. Grand. What else we got here? Our last one is F250, right the way across. Almost. There we are. And F is going to be up 55 down 70. I'm just using the 10 point. It's kind of easier to do the maths on. There we are. And that is F. Now, for this drawing, okay, they're glass set squares. So, I mean, it's a little bit of small detail, but what they're kind of getting at here is we don't really need to worry about the hidden lines. So we'll just connect all these bits for the moment. Now, what do we notice about A and C? Well, it's horizontal. And this is going to be quite a useful little fact later on. So there we go. And the course connect to B. Once you've labelled these, there's no real need to worry about what connects to what, because it's kind of straightforward. A, B, C, they all connect to each other. And D, F is the other one. Now we haven't been asked to deal with the inner piece of a jet, so we're just drawing the outside triangles. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to check that's horizontal. And the reason I'm doing this, okay, as I go through, because sometimes you don't spot the horizontals when you're kind of going through all the X, Y, Z coordinates. This is going to be very useful to me later on. Actually, that's going to be useful for one part of the question, and that's going to be useful for another. So it's always worth just, as you see these things, you know, maybe they're not quite horizontal, maybe they are, but it's there in your back of your mind thinking, oh, yes, yes, I might use that, because often there's lots of ways to solve it, but if it's horizontal, it is quite a bit easier to do the drawing. Okay, whenever you can use your T-squared equipment, projecting is much faster. Okay, D, E, and F. Now we just got to be careful because, of course, E is there. That E was is in the elevation. Okay, and the D is just there, and that's in the plan. Just so we don't confuse one with the other. All right, here we go. And this one, you probably can draw this just along with me, tipping your way through it, getting all these bits in place. Right, so there's the plan elevation, that's grand. Now, line of intersection. So when I'm doing my line of intersection, all right, my way I get this is two horizontal cutting planes. All right, horizontal cutting planes. We'll be here all day if I write out the full day of horizontal. Now, planes. Okay, so in the elevation, horizontal cutting plane, it's just going to look like a line. So again, if we take our little friend, the Lego man, and we are to do an Indiana Jones cutting plane, remember Indiana Jones in the temple, they walk in, they kind of chop his head off, and slices through. That is a horizontal cutting plane, okay? But of course, looked at from the front, if you were sitting there turning around looking at this guy, you would just see a line go across at his neck, and off he goes. Poor little man. So our horizontal cutting planes, we'll do them in orange because it's the closest I have to that horrible bloody red. We're just going to use this one because look, it's a horizontal. Why make life harder than it has to be? All right, and that means, of course, A to C is going to look like this in plan. Ta-da! However, we do need to get the point it contacts D, E, and F. So it hits it there and there. All right, well, let's call that 1 and 2 to make life easy. Okay, so all we've got to do is find 1 and 2 in plan, and we'll get our little X. Now, let's project down. So 1 is on D. Project 1 down there. And there's 1. 2 is on DF. DF is this one over here. And there we go. Do take the time to check that they're on the right ones. It gets kind of messy otherwise. Okay. There we go. And there's 2. Now, one thing I will just check our lighting and focus in this drawing. I am drawing dark just to make sure it works out a bit better for you. Of course, your lines will be lighter, so it won't get quite so noisy at the end of the whole drawing. All right, there's 1 to 2, and connect these 2 here. This is a little bit nicer than the one of the book you would have done, because these all intersect without having to extend them. Sometimes you will have to continue along. All right, but imagine all these lines are infinite, as if the planes were infinite. So anyway, there is our first point of intersection. Okay, so we'll call that guy P. We'll go P and Q for the points of intersection. Okay, second horizontal cutting plane. Right. Well, let's come across here. Remember, I think the second guy was kind of made walk into the tunnel after the first one died. He's looking there at the big wide open eyes, and he's obviously going to get murdered. Well, he just did. So in this case, it's going to go from F and all the way over there. So let's give these a few more numbers. Actually, you know what, we'll do this cutting plane in green because I think I have enough colors. There we are, green. And that will be point 3. And then it contacts this one here, 4 and 5. Okay, so where's 3, 4, and 5? Now 3 is a little bit to the left of this line. Okay, I just butchered it slightly with a big drawing pencils, and it's on AB. So we'll just come down here. All right, and we'll mark that. 3 connects to F, so that one's not too bad. No, 3 does not connect to F, does it? And this is where it's worth kind of checking these things, so we know 3 was on AB. So 3 connects to the other one on ABC, which is 5. There we go. It's no fun when you prepare these things ahead of time. It's much more fun going for a little bit of adventure and making a mistake. Okay, there we are. Now, that's 5. So again, far better than having a perfect system for how to do these things is have a really good system for how to catch your mistakes as you make them. Not get too worried about it. Okay, and then we can see 4 is on DE and F is on DEF, obviously. So 4 and F connect. So let's project down 4. And sorry, D to E is this bottom guy here. There we go. So there's 4. And there's F, obviously. So over we go. Now, and up here. We'll call that Q. P and Q. So, we know our line of intersection is on line P to Q. Now, what I'm going to do is just go scoot over here to find a pen of some form. There we go, a little blue pen. Okay, because we want to see where does this start and where does it end. Well, the simple way to think of it is, as you look down at the two things here, where do I have 2 of them? If I only have one of them, like out here at D, well, there can be no intersection. Come in, come in, come in, come in. There we go, at P, which just is coincidentally on AC. Well, it's not coincident because it's there because I put it there. But at this point, I have 2. So I'm going to have an overlap, 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 overlap. Therefore, an intersection all the way until I get to this line BC. And at that point, I've only got one of them out here, so I can't have an intersection. So there we go. Okay, there's our little line. So let's just project up and we'll figure out where those points are. Get from the elevation. Well, P is easy because we know what line it's on. We just project up from P. And there's P. And the other end of it, we'll just project this guy out for the moment. We'll give it a name. I can see some of you thinking maybe I'll get away with it this time, and someone else going, I just need a name. It's going to upset me if we don't, so we'll give it OR. And that's a lovely big blob of ink. It's going to smear all over my page if we don't get this fixed. So, yeah. Wishing you better luck on that one. That is on BC. There it is there. And we'll call that OR. Q is somewhere in the middle. We don't really care about Q anymore. And there we are. It's like the middle child, you know, you're going to have the eldest child, which is always special, the youngest child, which is always cute. The middle child just sort of gets scooted to the side. That's what my brother would certainly say. Now, okay, so there's our line of intersection done in both of these guys. So our next step in our drawing is going to be, so this is done, determine the dihedral angle between the planes. Now, at this stage, we hope we're getting used to dihedrals and we're hoping getting to like them. I would put money on the fact that they will appear somewhere in your exam paper. Nothing like a good old dihedral if you're a DCG exam writer. So, okay, for our dihedral, I'll sketch it up here. Which I hope is on the camera, actually. It'll be a bit annoying. It's not. Neither is the other little one here. We did have a whole lovely set of notes up there for you. Okay, dihedral, we're going to go with 2 auxiliaries. Okay, auxiliary 1, perpendicular to PR in plan. Okay, you could of course do it this way, you could go this way, it doesn't really matter. Once you look at the line of intersection in one of the views, okay, and see it as a true length, you're sorted. So again, just out of habit to keep the first few steps nice and tidy, I'm going to look at it in plan. It always works, so no point in making our lives too much harder. So if I'm going to look at it this way, to see this line as a true length, because then I can look along it and see it as a point. I'm going to look perpendicular, which means my x1, y1 is going to be parallel to this. So I'm just going to scoot my x1, y1 out here and see if this ink is dried. It has, happy days. There we go. And usually we just kind of try and come clear of the drawing. Now this is looking rather cozy on my page, so I'm going to run a slight overlap here. Okay. Not ideal. You'll see at the end of the drawing, of course. If you want to fast forward a couple of minutes, you can see if I get away with this, or if you could have gone clear of C. Who knows, but I do not want to have to do this whole drawing again, because it's Thursday, we're nearly at midterm, we've nearly made it. Okay, so there's my x1, y1. Now, like with our little Lego fan from before, okay, an auxiliary view is just turning around and looking at them in a different kind of way. All right, and we see it in plan, rotating, it eventually becomes an end view. Okay, but as we're looking at them this way in elevation, or maybe this way in our auxiliary, the heights off the ground haven't changed. So they're still real and relevant, which means I can take them off the elevation. Or I can take them off the y coordinates here. Okay, up to you, whichever you find the easiest. So let's get them projected. Now, just to check, of course, the biggest one, which is going to cause me hassle, is D, which is that big, which actually is going to be pretty tight. So we'll do D first, make sure we don't run off the page. I know like C is going to be somewhere around there. It's going to be fine. All right, so what we'll do is I'm going to use this 90 degree here to get me my my perpendicular. So I know D is inside there, so we'll line this up. Okay, nice and carefully. And there we go. So there's point D going all the way up here. Now we know that D is 105 high. So let's see how that's going to work out for us. Yes, indeed. I'm glad we had a little bit of an overlap. Okay, so there is D there. I actually did not plan that. That was just things working out well. So do be careful, but this is the way, if you're on your A3 check, if you're in an exam, you'll be fine, you have big paper, unless you're that muppet who takes an entire big sheet and draws the whole thing in the corner. Please don't be that muppet. Okay, so there's D, now we're on track here. Okay, and I can use this line, because I really took the time to get that one properly perpendicular the first time. I can use this line to begin to project the rest of them. Okay, so there's A going up there. B and E. Okay, I also need OR. A lot of lines going up here. I'm going to stop at this point and get some heights on them just so I don't get things confused. And there we go. Get this guy. You can see they're so long that any small inaccuracy will build up. As I look at this end, I'm looking to see are they parallel, and they're all looking pretty good. If they're not, they're only construction lines. Roll them out and fix them. It's not worth the hassle of letting them go wrong. Okay, A is 145. Sorry, A is 80. Gosh almighty. A is 80. Up here, and C is the same. There's A. You can see how easy it is to get A confused on the lines. There is A. There is A. C. Haven't done C yet. What's next? P. Well, P is going to be the same. So actually, let's just make life a little bit easier, and we'll project that one across because we have a few things happening at that 80 line. There we go. So P is also at 80. And when I project C up, we'll do it now just while we have the line in our minds. We'll get that at 80. And again, if you had a compass set, I just mark all these off while the compass is set. Make life a bit easier. There's C. Okay, that makes sense. What do we got next? A, D, and as I move this way, I've got P. Okay, B is there. 35. Just being careful, B is the first of these three. And we'll mark it off there. E is easy because E is down on the ground. So E is, and we'll just check here, E is the bottom of those three. So there's E. And of course the middle one then is OR. And we don't know how high OR is, so OR is one we've got to use our compass. Well, you could measure it if you like hard work, but compass is probably a bit easier. There's OR. OR is the middle one. There it is. And I haven't done F. Now, strictly speaking, you only actually need 3 from each one. I'll just put the 4th one up so we can see the whole thing emerge. Just in case you're not clear about what this looks like. F is 55. So of course we need to extend the XY line. X1, Y1. There we go. And F is up 55. Okay, connect the dots. Well, ABC. So remember, we're not really worrying about our hidden lines in this. It's certainly not in a dihedral construction like this. There's no need to get into it. So A to C going through P, that's fine. And there's B down here. And look at this, OR is on BC, which is actually exactly what we'd expect because OR is on BC. There we are. And A to B there. Okay, there's P to OR. And this is it. We'll do this in blue afterwards in case it needs a big dollop of ink and messes up our beautiful drawing. So D to E is here. Now, of course, I'm using colours all the time here because I think it's a lovely way to show what's going on and get a feel for it, especially if there's loads of drawings, but you cannot use colours in the exam. So just, by all means, use them at the moment, but you will need to wean yourself off them as you get closer to the exam. It's an odd little rule in the exam, but it is the way it is. Okay, so now, okay, we have that's our first auxiliary. Okay, that's auxiliary 1. Now, auxiliary 2, okay, we look along P-OR, okay? So, again, we've managed to see our pencil in a true length, and we look along it. We see it as a point, which means you can see the intersection, okay? Since that's a line on both of these planes, I would also expect both of these planes to become lines themselves, all right? Because if we look along the edge of any particular plane, like that edge there, the plane becomes a line. Okay, off we go. Boom, boom, boom. Down it goes. So we're looking along this one, which means x2, y2 is perpendicular to that. It's fine. There we go. We line that guy up. And this is going to fit fairly nicely. So put it there. X2, Y2. And I can see everything's going to fit in that little slice. Now, it will be pretty big because like that's the size of things. So that is, actually, that's going to fit. Yep, we'll... Of course, if we want to make life a little bit easier, we'll use a measuring line. I think we'll stick the measuring line in. Why not? So remember, our x1, y1 was an arbitrary place we put it, so we could just sort of pretend it's down here. Okay, we'll put this measuring line in as red. Okay, we call it an M sub L. It's just the way you do this, or D sub L, the datum line. It's the other way to do it. And off we go. So, lots of projections. Okay, so we'll put C down here first, and C is easy because C is on the datum line, measuring line. There we go. I often choose it with 1 point on it. Okay, I mean you can actually put it there technically and do everything negative, but I don't know why you'd want to. So we may as well pick it where the nearest point is to the x1, y1. It's one less measurement to take. Okay, P and Q. Well, let's get those guys here. So this is compass territory here. Okay, P and O, of course. P and O. There it is. You see, that's the same distance here. So that dot there is P, or. All right, what else we got? Let's go back and get a few more. So let's get, may as well start at the beginning and get A. And use the big long edge of this guy. Okay, and we'll get B at the same time. Sometimes if you're getting confused in the lines, just do them in like pairs or something like that. So there's A, a little bit further, there's A. B is actually fairly big as well. And there's B. Now I would expect A, B, C to be a line. This is looking pretty good here. A, B, let's see how well this all worked out. Of course, P is the one on the line as well. And looking at C, there we go. Beautiful. All right, so that is plane ABC. Okie dokies. Next one, so we just have 2 more to go really. I know we have D, E, and F, and you can see that actually we only really need D and E because this is on it, or we need 2 of them. So I'm going to pick the E and F because D is the kind of one in the middle. And if you are doing this myself, you might choose to get all 3 because it's a very good way to check your accuracy. So there's F. And there's D. It's good practice at actually doing these kind of things and, you know, managing your set squares. It is a big run, and the smallest little movement throws it off. So there's F. F is here. Okay. And we decided we would do E. There's E there. There we are. Okay, so that is plane DEF. Okay, you can see D is going to be somewhere around here, and it's going to be in between these two. So we're on the right track with those ones. All right, there is my dihedral. Let's throw a number on it so you guys can compare. I'm getting just shy of this line, so I'd have to actually extend this guy a small bit. We'll just push it out here so we can measure it. There we go. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm getting 29 degrees there. Again, plus or minus a couple. There is a little bit of movement in this thing, but you should be somewhere in that space. Okay, so we're doing good. We're moving through this. What about this last weird little bit here? Okay, so inner triangle in 45 set square ABC is offset 10 mm in, so it comes in by 10. That's grand. Draw the plan on the elevation of the inner triangle. Now, if I try and come in by 10 mm here and here, of course, I'm not going to see a true shape. So if I'm looking at this like that, you told me that's 10 mm measuring this way, well, that's not much good to me. Okay, it's not 10 mm as you see it. So I need a true shape to solve this. How do we get a true shape? Well, there's a couple of ways you can get a true shape. Usually, we can either rotate the object or we can rotate ourselves. Now, this one, it's not as obvious how we can kind of rotate the object because I haven't got a good end view of it, or a good line view on it. So let's go and take that. Okay, the other way we can do it, of course, is by rotating ourselves so we see an auxiliary. Now, just like in this one, in order to know how I can look straight at it, I'm going to look from the side first, and then all I need to know is I look perpendicular to that and I see a true shape. So, step 1, see ABC as a line. All right, well, which means we're going to look along any edge. Now, we're going to do an auxiliary elevation. We need to look along a level line. Coincidentally, AC is a level line. Okay, so remember in some of our ones we would have done a little level line, found that level line down a plan, looked along it. Well, we've got it here. So there it is. Ta-da. That's my level line. Okay. So we can actually draw this fairly easily. Now, it's a rather tight drawing, so I'm going to stick this x1, y1 right beside it. Now, this is a first auxiliary, so it's back to x1, y1. It's not x3, y3. It's not like the third one I've drawn. Okay. That's a second auxiliary because it's an auxiliary of an auxiliary. Now, this one we're going to look along the line there, so it's not too bad. These two come along the same point. Let's stick them out here. Now, I'm not going to peek at the solution to see if we need to use a measuring line. We don't, just to make sure we all fit. So we'll pop that, extend that line out there. And these guys are that high, which is, of course, when we look at it, 145. That's bloody huge. Okay, I need a measuring line. So let's see if 145 is even going to fit on my page. It's not really. So we're going to be a little bit cheeky on this one here. Okay, this is going to be fairly tight. And I am actually not feeling mega confident about my space down here. So what do we know about A and B? Okay, here's how we're going to basically work this off. We can use a measuring line and we're going to actually bring it up like this. All right, I'm interested in the shape of A to B, and if I pull it down here, okay, you don't need to do this in an exam because you'll have proper paper. Okay, but B is 1835. Hang on, will fit. Will fit. There we go. Yes. Okay. Otherwise, I could have subtracted this distance here from the 80, pulled it all down, and it would have worked out fine. A and C. But we won't do it unless we have to. See how this bottom corner works out. This is looking cozy. What have we got? B is 35. You see, I could have pulled this whole line down without much danger. There's B. All right. Well, okay. If I look perpendicular to the true length, sorry, to the edge, I will see a true shape. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to put this really close here. Okay, it's not a nice angle. So let's just come just out here for x2, y2. Now, my big problem here is AC, is that distance there, and that is most likely going to go off my page. So I'm going to hope it'll just go onto the drawing board. I will use a measuring line and put A right on my XY line. There's my measuring line. So we project these guys out. Just send that off my board. I'll move the camera in a second. Just check that now. And there's B. So let's have a peek at our camera, see how we're doing. Now you can kind of see it there, guys. There we are. Okay, so I've looked along AC. I can see ABC as an edge. Okay, remember that's plane ABC. Now I'm going to look perpendicular to that plane because I can see it as an edge. So if I look that way, I'll see it as a true shape. Okay, measuring line to keep it all in tow, and let's see where C is going to end up being. Well, remember this is how we get our second auxiliaries. Ta-da! Mode of truth here. Oh my god, right at the outer edge of my drawing board. Well, isn't that fun? Okay, when you do this, all right, put B on the XY line, okay? Put B on X1, Y1, therefore put AC, okay, so 80 minus the 35, 55 from X1, Y1. So for both of these, we're subtracting 35. Okay, we're effectively putting a measuring line up there. Okay, we're still getting the same angle, everything will still work. This will just move down this way a bit, which will keep you a little bit cozier on it. Okay, now of course I'm hoping you watched that bit of the video before you drew, but hey, if you didn't, it's happened, so let's move along. Okay, and B, of course, for my measuring line is just going to be this. Ta-da! So there's B. And we'll draw this guy out. All right, 10 mil in. Now, here's a nice little tip for doing your 10 mils in. Okay, I'm going to bring this camera down a little bit closer for this last step. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to line this guy up on the edge. Now I need to slide this in by 10 mil this way. I could do perpendicular lines and all that, but that is hard work. We don't want to be doing that. I'm going to line this up here. The easiest way for me to measure this is to line up my 10 and my 0. See them there? Okay. The 0, because it's easy to measure, it's close to the edge. The edge is much harder to see. Okay. The 10, because it's in the middle, so the whole thing isn't going to rock off too easily. So there we go. Line that up. And of course, I'm just going to move the 45-degree set square by 10 mil. And set square hasn't changed shape, so if one part of it's moved by 10, the end is moved by 10. There we are, construction line. We'll repeat that for the other ones. Bring this up a little bit so you can see. And this is a really useful tip. We would have used in Junior Cert with solids and contact. If you weren't in Junior Cert or you just forgot it, then it's dead handy little one to revise. There we go. And we'll do the same here. Now in this one, I'm just going to come back by 10 mil, it's a little bit easier. There we go. And we'll just heavy in the inside of it and this lovely little bit of art in our drawing boards. And there we have it. Okay. And this was a lovely little bit of an exam paper where people were checking, did you actually read it? Because of course, not everybody read the line saying it's not necessary to do the other one. And of course they did, and they complained about time and they thought, oh my God, but hey, you guys are on the ball and you've all read that. And you know, at this point, you're done. Okay, well done. Happy Fridays and have a fabulous midterm.